Welcome to Project Play. Hi, I'm Kaye England with Wilmington Prints, and in today's video, we're so excited to share with you some techniques about how you can make kites, how you can do leaves in different fashions, templates, a little bit of connectors, and some other fun methods. Let's get started. Now today we're going to be working with one of the 10-pack gems, that's 10-inch squares. We have worked with those a little bit in past videos, but what's so much fun about this is how many of those we're going to get. So your recipe is going to be 1 pack of Emerald Forest gems. There's 42 in that pack. And then your yardage is your 3 1/8 yardage, and in this case we have used the dry brush in the cream. Again, that's going to be up to you, but your pattern front will have all of this information listed on it. And then your retailer, of course, will be able to provide you with different color choices if you decided to go that route. Now, you know that when we've done this before, I've tried to be clear with you if I felt like this was a very beginner project. I do believe that, I always say, a confident beginner could actually work with this, but this will be something where templates come into play. Now, a lot of times there will be specific sizes you'd cut, then you cross-cut, but in this one, you actually will need to make a template as this spiky corner that lives on the quilt, and it's in all the blocks that we refer to as either an ice cream cone or a kite, is actually a template. Even if there was a ruler that would cut this, it would be a ruler that would require you to lay it down, cut an angle, flip that tool, and then you would get that element, which is going to form this little unit right here. And this is the unit that, as you look at the quilt, there are 3 size blocks that live in this quilt. The center of it is made up of 4 baby blocks. The blocks are made identical. Then the next row that comes around is a larger block. Then the outside row is another larger block. We call the corner, which is the ice cream cone or kite or leaf, we call that one a certain element, and it is a perfect square when it is finished. Then there's little baby leaves, so if you look at the little elements that sit on either side of that, we're referring to those as leaves again. And what those are rectangles with a little connector corner, and we've done those quite a few times, where you lay the unit down and sew across, fold it, and then you put 2 of those together. So there's where we get extra little leaves that live on the side of the ice cream cone. And for those of you who might never have made a stem, then the base of all 3 size blocks have the cream background with the little skinny green stem sewn in. And that's a lot of fun to sew, and you have a little bit of forgiveness in the way that this is made, because you'll be able to true it up at the end, because a lot of times when you're doing an element like that, you really, to try to cut that perfect and sew it perfect is a little cloudy. So I do prefer to have the opportunity to retrue that in the event that it went south while you were sewing. Each one of them assembles exactly the same. Once you make 1 block, you've made the entire quilt. The difference is just the element size that you're working with. Because I've done this quite a bit, I actually started making the larger block first, because if you are new, you might even consider that yourself, because the elements are a little bit larger. It gives you a little bit more room to play with, where those 4 little babies are tiny and you have more difficulty perhaps working with it. So first thing you're going to do is open your package of your 10-inch squares, which is your gem. It is your Emerald Forest. You have loads of choices. Now, you don't have 42 different greens. What you have is some of them have 3 of each, some have 4 of each, a couple have 2 of each, and some have 1 of each. Your pattern is going to ask you to start doing some cutting. And let me tell you something, folks. When it says cut this, you know what the old saying, measure twice, cut once. Because everything you're doing is coming out of this 10-inch square. So it might ask you to cut 4.5-inch squares. And you're like, so think it through before you pick up your rotary cutter. Go, okay, wait a minute. I could do this and I'd save a little bit. Everything that you're going to be using in this, you're going to want. So there's not a lot of waste factor, although I did have a little left over. I typically cut everything first. I've laid out how I start cutting things. If you're following the pattern, you'll be cutting all of your emerald colors first. Then you will get into color B, which will be all of your background colors. And if you just are diligent in how you mark these, then you'll find it so much easier when it becomes assembly time. So don't think so much about sewing until you have cut. Let's take a look at the sheet that is included in your pattern. When you print this pattern off, it clearly tells you in this little box, if this box does not measure 2 inches square, reduce or enlarge the entire page to correct size. Now look at me, folks. There's a bunch of you out there that's just like me. We went, what? How am I going to do that? If you're savvy on your computer and your printer and stuff, which I am not, then you perhaps know how to do that. But with the printing on these, yes, we would like to say that they're always perfect, and I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just saying I want you to be aware of this so that if yours is 1 7/8 and you go ahead and make all of your templates based on this, they will all be off by that 1/8 of an inch because everything is scaled around that little square. If this is daunting for you, certainly there are a couple of other ways, because that ice cream cone element that is all the templates. If you're an AccuQuilt user, all of those templates are available, or the dies in AccuQuilt. There are a couple of speedy ways to do it as well with connectors. But because this is written this way, I do think it's a good thing to learn how to do it. You see there are 3 leaf shapes, and you see there are 3 triangles. Now, this pattern refers to the triangles as the edge of those leaves. So I'm going to lay this little fellow down here. So in all 3 block sizes, this little unit here is referred to as the leaf template, X, Y, or Z, and the little wings on that are referred to the triangle template, X, Y, or Z. You're going to have to assemble from the center out like you would a medallion. Can't do this in rows and elements. I can't do quadrants like I prefer to sew, because this is more like a medallion style quilt. So your 4 little baby blocks are going to go together in the middle. And as I've told you, this is the only time points kiss points, because you can see where those babies go together, there's going to have little noses touching little stems, and you're just going to have to be patient and maybe press a lot of seams open. Once I get that little square sewn and I put that in first, and you're clearly seeing that, then I start assembling my rows, my top, my bottom, and my 2 sides for my mid-size block. I've got those on. Then my last row is formed with all of my larger blocks. And once I get those done and get those on there, and I typically will press, like after I've got the baby row done, I press it. Then when I get the middle units on, I press them. Then when I get the large units on it, I'm going to press it again before I put my border on, because I've got to get that the print colored border on. And that's where you're going to have choices. If you wake up, you've done this, you go, well, I think I want a single fabric. Well, then choose one of those greens that perhaps might be your favorite and use it. I love the pieced border on it. I think it's great. The quilt actually finishes, I think, 60.5, something like that. If it was something that you wanted larger, and you look at the orientation, the way these leaves are, 2 go one way, 2 go another way, this is a chance to be your own designer. If you decide, gee, I think all my leaves are going to swing the same way, or I'm going to do this, or I want to add another row of babies across the top and the bottom, all you'd have to do is add to your yardage. So your recipe is pretty tight. Background you're going to have plenty on, so you don't have to worry, but you need to be careful. But when it comes to the pre-cut pack, you're going to have to really pay attention if you want to use that as your binding. So we thank you for joining us. We hope you have a good time and keep those swirling leaves coming. Thank you for joining us. Have a great day. Bye-bye.